Hello. Thank you so much for coming today to be with us. I'm Debbie. I'm the eldest child, the only girl. There are so many memories that I could recall, but I'll share just a few with you today. Just one moment. Mum and Dad owned a busy fruit shop in Havelock North, and around the age of 5 or 6, I started my swimming lessons. And every summer, all the fruiterers got together for the annual summer picnic at the Tukituk River. And after splashing around in the shallow water, I thought this was pretty tame. So I wandered off further upstream. And none of you have heard this before. I took a step into the water, and immediately I was in too deep, and there was water all above me. I felt a hand reach down and lift me out. It was Dad. Unbeknownst to me, he had followed me, and he had saved me. We didn't speak, just walked back to the picnic area together, and neither of us went near the water again that day. My dad was always fit and strong and competitive, and I watched as he ran in the potato sack race. I think he won. Philippa Khan was in my class, and she had the most amazing white curly hair. And you know, when you're Chinese and you've got straight hair, that's what you want. I was 7 and in Standard 1 when I invited her back to the shop to play after school. She began reciting arithmetic times tables, and this was like a foreign language to me. And Dad asked why I couldn't do that. I'll never forget that challenge. I had no idea what Philippa was saying. Needless to say, I never invited her to play again. And then the following year, my father went to the parent-teacher evening and met my teacher, Miss Elliott. And when he came home, he came to talk to me on my own. He said he liked my classroom and he had wandered round it and asked Miss Elliott why my name was under a sign that read King of Tables. And she explained that I was always winning the competition by being the fastest of all the children whenever we had times tables competition. And the whole class was whittled down to about 10 students who stood in front of the class and competed till there was just one left, the winner. It was a very proud moment for both my dad and me. A lot of my life, at home and in my professional life, has revolved around numbers and working hard. These are 2 areas my father excelled in. We had a very busy fruit shop that both my parents managed for 5.5 days a week, and being the eldest, I was always wanting to help out and emulate them. When I was 7, I showed Dad that I could add up 8 sets of figures in shillings and pence, and I thought that was pretty neat. So when I showed him how clever I was, I asked if I could now work in the shop. And I'll never forget, we were standing by the till when he said this, and he said, I couldn't work in the shop till I could add up the figures on the list and know the total at this speed, in shillings and pence. You tried. Then I had to add the list backwards at the same speed to do a double check. What a challenge. Needless to say, I was working the shop soon afterwards. Another proud moment for both of us. When decimal currency kicked in on July the 10th the following year, I couldn't believe how easy arithmetic was in the shop now. I never saw my father use a calculator, and his example has always helped me. I was 13 when we got the fish and chip shop. My father had real guts. He didn't learn how to fillet fish till the day he opened, and we were busy from day one. I recall Dad picking up fish at the fisheries, not just in the morning, but also sometimes collecting fish late at night in Napier. He would be filleting fish with running cold water in winter, and he never complained. I remembered his example when I worked long hours and weekends in my job. From a young age, I always wanted to eat what Dad ate. He seemed to enjoy different stuff that Mum didn't touch. When Mum steamed flounder, I used to watch how my father ate the fish head with such gusto. And once I was allowed to try it, well, I was hooked. Dad just knew that I wouldn't choke on a fish bone. So we took it in turns to have the fish head when flounder was served. Then when we got the fish and chip shop, Mum used to cook 2 flounders so Dad and I didn't have to take turns. Happy days. And he and I love raw oysters. And when the oyster season was on, as soon as I got to the shop after school on Friday afternoon, Dad would assign me to count 1 dozen oysters into containers to sell raw. This wasn't a job. This was better than having a biscuit and milk after school. I would eat as I counted. He was fine with it. Dad's probably eating more oysters now. You know, they're not in season, but in heaven he can eat them any time. Enjoy every one of them, Dad.